So Kanye West is a pretty interesting man. I've been a massive fan of his ever since I was a little chubby Scouse 13-year-old. But I've actually always been more interested in the man than I have the music. And that's only increased, especially this year, when it seems like he's gone all out to show us he doesn't care what people think.
But I love this guy right here. Let me give this guy a hug right here. There was something about when I put this hat on, it made me feel like Superman.
Kanye West is what happens when Negroes don't read.
And so, BBC Three have sent me to America to find out what the hell is going on. I'm just trying to arrange an interview with Mr. Kanye West. It's a search that'll take me across the country and deep into the mind of one of the most influential and controversial figures of the 21st century.
He needs help, and it's like, to me, he's crying out for help.
Is this some crazy marketing ploy? Does Kanye want to be president of the United States? Or is he just dealing with the effects of being a celebrity?
It's all part of a system to control your mind, to control my mind, to make me look like I'm crazy to you. I am not crazy.
Following Kanye for all these years, I've always been drawn to just how confident he is. He's convinced he's an actual genius.
I know how to make perfect, but that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to crack the pavement and make new grounds, you know, sonically and society, culturally.
But where does this blinding self-belief come from? I'm going back to the start, to his hometown, Chicago. This is the South Side, the black epicenter of a racially divided city. The area also has the rep of being the poorest and most dangerous part of Chicago. I'm here to meet one of Kanye's oldest and dearest friends, GLC. He is a rapper, he's a long-term collaborator, but also basically a best friend of Kanye West. And he's happy to meet me and also potentially get me to the man himself.
He tried to work a job, represent the mob at the same time.
GLC and Kanye have been friends since they were teenagers, and he's rapped on some of his biggest hits. And recently, Kanye's been quoting GLC in his interviews.
I'm gonna read to you something that my friend GLC from Chicago wrote for me.
There he is, got some nice wheels. How's it going, GLC? I like your car, it's a nice car.
Man, you know how the players gotta do it, man. I always gotta be nice as a mother's advice. What's up?
Oh yeah, it's going good. So this was Kanye's house?
Oh yeah, it was.
I was hoping he'd be able to give me an insight into what Kanye was like before he became Kanye West. When you met him and his mum here, what was that like? I mean, what happened?
It was really cool, man, because I walked in the crib and man, it was like African art in the house. It was a wide collection of music, you know, like records, basketball, like, you know, paraphernalia.
How did you meet Kanye?
I met him through this dude named Birdman. And when he came to our hood, he had this real bogus haircut. He had like a part that was thick as hell, like this. Looked like Moses stood on his forehead and just parted this shit, you know what I'm saying? And we was laughing like, man, who did your haircut like that? He was like, Kanye. We was like, what? Fuck is a Kanye? What is that? He was like, man, that's my man. He cut my hair. And yeah, he was like, but guess what else? He made beats and he raw.
What was he like back then?
Man, he was energetic. He was very confident. He was confident in his craft. He believed, he was focused, he was determined, and he did what was necessary in order for him to grow and develop in that atmosphere. You know what I'm saying?
Was his mum like a big part in that? Was she kind of, you know, encouraging him to do music?
What she did was magical, because around that time, if you were telling your mom and your family that you wanted to do music, they'll look at you and be like, oh yeah, you could do music, but you really need to go get an education. You could do music on the side. Not Kanye mama. Kanye was like, I want to do music. She went and got him a computer, got him a keyboard, got him a microphone, got him speakers, whatever he needed in order to perfect his craft.
I'm so proud of you. Let me tell you what I'm about to do, mama. I know I act a fool, but I promise you.
It's well known Kanye was close to his mum, like in this home video. But speaking to GLC made it clear how much of a role she had in his music and his ideology. Donda died in 2007, suddenly, due to complications following cosmetic surgery. This was a time when she still had a huge role in Kanye's life, working as his manager and offering him guidance. I want to find out more about his mum Donda and her influence. Kanye's an only child, but there's one cousin who's basically a brother to him. So, I'm on my way to Texas.
Although it's been quite difficult to track down Kanye himself, I've actually managed to get pretty close. I'm meeting up with his cousin, Tony Williams. He knows Kanye pretty well. It's his older cousin. He's been on pretty much most of his albums as a vocalist. His son was even on Family Feud with Kim and Kanye a few months ago. And he told me on the phone that he can tell me things that no one else knows about Kanye West.
Like Kanye, Tony's into fashion. He suggested we meet at his vintage clothing store.
And one of the things that a lot of my fans and the kids that come in get a kick out of is the gallery here, which is all of the tours that we've done, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So, like the very first picture you see, both of us, that's the Touch the Sky tour.
Oh, wow.
That was the first tour.
Tony's toured around the world with Kanye. But one tour memory that stays fresh in the mind is the day Donda died.
My mom actually called, and we got the news when we landed. And it was very interesting because we still went to the venue and had rehearsal that night. And so it was just kind of, you know, we all deal with grief differently. But it was just kind of like, you know, the shock of it. It was like, you know, it was business as usual.
How do you think that affected him, you know, his mum dying? A lot of people feel as though that was quite a big moment, you know, kind of in his mindset changing.
For anyone. For anyone. She was a voice of reason, your rock.
How big of an influence do you think she's had on Kanye's work?
So there's a song on College Dropout. The lyrics, he says, I get down for my grandfather who took my mother, made her sit in that seat where white folks didn't want us to eat. And he's speaking about a movement in the 60s where during the civil rights, we had these sit-ins. And I think my dad, Kanye's mom, being one of the younger of the kids, were the kids that were involved in the sit-in. Wow. So it was always that, you know, I'll be defiant, you know, I'm gonna break your code. That's instilled in me. It's in the blood.
Have you got that as well, would you say?
No doubt. In here. Jason and I worked in here, yeah. Jason.
Kanye's mum went on to marry a Black Panther, Kanye's father, Ray West. Which meant from both sides of his family, Kanye was born into the civil rights cause. In the studio, Tony was finishing off his latest single.
Can I have like an ad-lib on one of your songs?
I might not be in his song, but this was my chance to find out what he thinks about Kanye now.
I'm gonna slide by. Got me waiting for the longest.
He spoke himself about going through a mental breakthrough. Were you around during the kind of breakthrough phase?
Which breakthrough? Which one was that?
Did you see a kind of moment where he kind of said that he had bipolar for a bit, then said it wasn't bipolar?
Which is very bipolar.
Yeah, that's very true.
There's always a conflict within himself. So yeah, man, and so which makes him show up as very misunderstood, you know. So, you know, but I think that's the thing that makes him who he is. I don't think you reach that echelon of success with the same mindset of the average person.
He's no longer just Kanye, your cousin. He's evolved into a kind of man who is like literally a spokesperson.
You know, we typically, especially in the Black community, we want people like Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, we want them to take a platform and espouse our causes as a Black community. It's been very interesting because early on, he was very reluctant to want to be the torchbearer for, the black community. He just wanted to be an artist.
It was interesting to hear that Tony, Kanye's big brother figure, thought he was never interested in anything but being an artist. Because lately, it seems like Kanye's been more interested in politics than music.
I love this guy right here. Let me give this guy a hug.
This meeting with President Trump in October this year was the biggest moment.
It was something about when I put this hat on, it made me feel like Superman. You made a Superman. That's my favorite superhero. If he don't look good, we don't look good. This is our president. He has to be the freshest, the flyest planes. So there's theories that there's infinite amounts of universe and there's alternate universe. So it's very important for me to get Hoover out because in an alternate universe, I am him.
It was a meeting that was so mind-blowing, the entire world struggled to explain it.
Kanye West is what happens when Negroes don't read.
Got that? He can't read because he's the N-word. That's what the liberals on a liberal cable channel are now telling you.
Kanye had already caused controversy earlier in the year with his comments about slavery.
When you hear about slavery for 400 years, that sounds like a choice.
I'm disappointed, I'm appalled, and brother, I am unbelievably hurt by the fact that you have morphed into something, to me, that's not real.
Knowing the role Kanye's family played in the Black Rights Movement, I wondered what Donda, Kanye's mum, would make of all this. Before she became Kanye's manager, she worked for over 20 years at Chicago State University. Her successor and one of her closest friends was Dr. Brenda Agahoa.
Hi, welcome to Chicago State.
It's Donda.
There she is. I greet her every time I come in before I start working. Hi, Donda. Thank you. Love you.
Honestly, that's how big of an influence she's been on you personally?
Yes. She hired me, first black person to serve as the department chair. So she was a trailblazer in that way. But yeah, she was a great scholar. She, had a PhD in English and specialized in black literature.
She was very proud of who she was.
Yes.
She was very proud of her heritage.
Yes.
And do you think you can see that through Kanye's work?
Yes.
It's kind of his mother's influence.
I do see that, yeah. To venture into the hip-hop world and not be ashamed of black culture and black slang and black language and all the things that, he incorporates in his music, that clearly shows, Donda's influence in that way.
What do you think she'd say about, the kind of Trump moment in the Oval Office?
Oh, my Lord. I don't know if I should be so candid. I think she'd be scratching her head a little bit because Donda, as I knew her politically, was more, Democrat than Republican, and I don't think she would have trumpeted Trump as, the best president for black people ever, or, some of the things Kanye has said they've said.
Where do you think Kanye's got this from?
I don't know where some of this is coming from. He's married Kim Kardashian. I could hear Donda saying now, you couldn't find an African queen to marry, No offense to Kim Kardashian, but, well, we're not good enough, or, black women are not good enough, or what? Yeah, so I know Donda would be scratching her head about a lot of the choices he's made and a lot of the things he said publicly, but she would still love him, like we all do. He's a musical genius, and so on my part, there's no judgment.
But despite Brenda's concerns, not everyone sees Kanye's relationship with President Trump as detrimental to black Americans. I've come to Washington to attend a summit for young black Trump-supporting conservatives. I'm heading to the Young Black Leadership Summit. It's a conference for black conservatives aged 18 to 35. The person who's basically leading it all is a lady called Candace Owens, and I think I'm going to meet her. Candace Owens came to the world's attention in April this year, when Kanye tweeted this. Back then, she was a pretty unknown conservative YouTuber.
Oh my God, Charlottesville. White supremacy is alive and well. Run. Stop. If you are a black person and you express some irrational fears this week over the rise of the Klansmen and neo-Nazis, let me invite you over for a cup of hot steaming facts.
But now, she's become a right-wing superstar.
He is just in a very, very positive state.
Welcome back to TMZ Live, a very special edition of TMZ Live. Kanye West here, and now joined by Candace Owens.
Thank you, man.
She thinks that black people in America are trapped by their black identity, forcing them to think and vote a certain way. She wants to change that.
How are you feeling, Candace?
Really nervous, excited, but good nerves, like, you know, just super blessed. Like, I just thank God for this moment, I guess.
Today, she's launching a movement that, according to her, frees black people from mental, liberal-induced tyranny.
Today in this room, I'm so excited because we are going to launch in front of the world a movement that will forever be remembered as a piece of American history, a movement called Blexit, the Black Exit. It's time for a Blexit.
Inspired by Nigel Farage and Brexit, Candace's Blexit movement encourages black Americans to break away from the Democratic Party of Obama and Clinton, which currently gets around 90% of black votes.
Blexit is a renaissance, and I'm blessed to say that this logo, these colors, were created by my dear friend and fellow superhero, Kanye West. Who has taken one of the boldest steps in America to open a conversation that we have needed to have, and I cannot tell you how badly he wished to be here in this room with everybody.
We the free! We the free! We the free! We the free!
Candace was convinced this was a movement that would change not only America, but the world. And according to her, it was endorsed by Kanye himself. Obviously, though, he wasn't here. So to find out why Kanye was so into this, I joined Candace backstage.
How did the Kanye relationship come about?
He randomly tweeted me in April, and we met up after that, and we had a lot in common, a similar energy, both very much inspired by one another. And yeah, we've just kind of ping-ponged and hung out a ton of times and just created, I guess.
What's he actually like?
Exactly as you see him. And I can say the same for Donald Trump, and I can say the same for me. I think there's something to the dragon energy thing.
What, authenticity?
Authenticity, yeah. You're just sort of being yourself, so there's not a different person to be when the cameras are on. It's just who I am.
Why do you think Kanye West was so drawn to this movement? Because I think
it's about freedom. It's about realizing that we're Americans. We're tired of being told that black people are different somehow, and that we have to understand that we constantly have to live in fear of racism. We're not afraid of racism. It's not an issue happening in this country.
When did racism end?
Well, racism, here we go. Here's the difference here. When is racism itself, finding racist acts, that's never going to end for the rest of society.
When did institutionalized racism end, structural racism?
The Civil Rights Act. That's when institutionalized racism, when we were able to be a part of it, we were able to vote and make decisions and put people in office that were going to make things better for our community.
The most inspirational part of the message, I suppose, is, you no longer have to be a victim.
Right.
And the idea of not feeling like a victim will essentially boost you. Is that the kind of crux of the conversation?
Yeah, it's mental slavery, and that's what Kanye was talking about, which they sort of misconstrued when he said 400 years of slavery. It sounds like a choice. It has become a choice now. If someone tells you that you can't, if you believe that you can't, you certainly won't. Right. You are the author of your life.
Candace had really become close to Kanye. It seemed like she knew him better than most. So I wanted to ask her about his much discussed mental health.
Is Kanye mentally ill, do you think?
First and foremost, I feel like that is a totally inappropriate question. Secondly, no, I don't, but I'm not a doctor. But to go back to first and foremost, that is a totally inappropriate question.
Why is it an inappropriate question?
Because you're talking about someone's mental state because he says that black people don't have to be Democrats. That's why you're asking me that?
That's not why I'm asking that.
So why are you asking that? I'm really tired of people insinuating that black people have mental disorders when they're conservative. It's something that needs to stop.
Why are you bringing race into it?
No, because this is something that actually happens.
Why are you bringing race? I'm intrigued.
This is actually something that happens in America.
When did I mention race?
Well, it doesn't matter. I'm saying because
Kanye
they
himself
disagree.
has spoken about this?
Because they disagree with their political position is a disgusting thing. And I'm going to tell you that this interview is now over.
Days after the Candace interview, and I thought my chances with Kanye were over.
Thank you for calling Universal Music Group. If you know the 7-digit extension of the person you are calling, please dial it now.
Yeah, I mean, essentially what I'd say is, if he doesn't do it, we're still making a documentary.
But then, something unexpected happened. Kanye distanced himself from Candace, saying that he didn't design the logo for a movement and that he had nothing to do with Blexit. And despite telling me otherwise, Candace also retracted the claim about Kanye's role in her movement. It's as if Kanye fell out with Candace at about the same time I did. Which means that even if she did tell him to avoid me, it might not even matter. Kanye's mental health is a tricky subject. It's been discussed publicly by him and his fans since 2016, when he was hospitalized in LA. This was the night it happened.
Just to win, fuck winning, fuck looking cool, fuck looking cool, fuck being cool, fuck all that, bro.
He's since gone on to refer to this time in the media and in his lyrics as a mental breakthrough.
I've been sitting here to give y'all my truth, even at the risk of my own life, even at the risk of my own success, my own career. I've been sitting here to give y'all the truth.
I went to the hospital. I was diagnosed with being bipolar. I went crazy. I am not crazy, but I definitely can go there if pushed.
And he's talked openly about the diagnosis of bipolar that followed.
I've never been diagnosed till I was like 39 years old and stuff, so put that on me as...
What do you mean by diagnosed?
Diagnosed with a mental condition. But like I said, on the album I said it's not a disability, it's a superpower.
Kanye was praised for breaking the stigma of mental health by talking about his diagnosis so positively. But it also made his backtrack in the White House even more confusing.
He said that I actually wasn't bipolar. I had sleep deprivation, which could cause dementia.
To find out more about what Kanye was going through, I've managed to get a meeting with legendary hip-hop scout and manager John Monopoly in LA. John was Kanye's manager when he was first coming up in Chicago, and has since gone on to manage megastars, including Busta Rhymes and Missy Elliott.
Are you making some business deals happen? You got a nice house, I like it. It looks kind of Japanese. What's he like to manage? Or can he be managed, is it more like a...
It's more so supported, you know what I mean? I don't think you can manage a creative genius of his caliber. I think as he gets older, he definitely feels more responsible, and I see the different things that he's trying to do.
He's gone into the Oval Office, talked to Trump himself. Were you surprised when you saw that?
I wasn't surprised that he went and talked to Trump, just because I know if he gets something on his mind, he's gonna see through it. But I was surprised maybe at the timing. I wish he might have been in a little bit of a better space. Because I felt like he maybe was just kind of like zooming. Sometimes when he gets in these creative spaces, in these zones, I'm not gonna say he was sick or any of that. I just think if he was just in a better space, it could have been more effective.
Always in search of the next Kanye or Missy, John is constantly on the clock. He had plans with producers at a studio nearby. I decided to go along. California's a green state, meaning marijuana is legal. So, through the thick and pungent haze, I was introduced to Reno, an LA-based producer who, like Kanye, came from Chicago.
I mean, I've known him since, like 16? A lot of decisions and shit that's happening is definitely a result of his environment. When you are that known by people in the world and that sought after, and you're that responsible for maintaining that, it becomes delicate.
This is what I was saying to John, actually, is like, being a celebrity like that must be crazy.
Dude, it's like
a lot
being
of pressure.
President or prime minister. It's like you are responsible. Instead of getting impeached, you just fall off, But it's the same type of vibe, because people really look up to their artists.
Do you think Kanye's ever struggled with celebrity? Because it must be hard for anybody going into.
Yeah, of course, because especially coming from the south side of Chicago and knowing how real things can get, and then just being right out here in this facade of a lifestyle. Absolutely. You know, it's kind of, you know, that's why I feel like dude blows up every now and then, because it's like too much.
It's who he's always been. I mean, you know, I remember when we were shopping his demo around, he would like jump on tables in the office of the labels, and you know, he was just always
Very forthcoming.
Yeah.
Very forthcoming.
Do people put too much pressure on Kanye?
Yeah, I would use a different word. They put too much obligation on him. You know, it's like y'all expecting too much from him.
I think we all know that he was struggling for a while, but I think he got through it, and he's getting through it, and he's getting better by the day. And
It's hard for anyone to say for sure whether Kanye is suffering with a mental health condition. But it's clear different days bring different Kanyes. And even in the Trump meeting, his friends felt he might have been struggling. And due to being one of the most famous men on the planet, everyone around the world saw it. Away from La La Land, Kanye had other plans, which he announced in September before his meeting with the president.
So the first thing on my mind that I have to tell you is, I got to let y'all know that I've moved back to Chicago. I'm never leaving again.
I wasn't really sure how to take his statement. I was realizing Kanye changed his mind quite often. In the weeks following this announcement, before his meeting with the president, he made a series of commitments to the city of Chicago. And I want to find out if they're for real. The most surprising was a $200,000 donation to Amara Enya, a Black Roots mayoral candidate.
I also have to give shout outs to Ye. Thank you.
Kanye had befriended the sitting Republican president, and now he was backing an outspoken critic of Trump. Tonight, Amara's holding a fundraiser for her campaign. And they've let me in, on the proviso I wear a tux. It's being co-hosted with another Chicago hip-hop star, Chance the Rapper.
What's it like having the support of people like Chance the Rapper, Kanye West? How did that come about?
I was actually heading into a meeting when I got the phone call, and I didn't recognize the number. And usually I screen my calls, so but I answered the phone, and he said it was Kanye, and I was like, oh. So when we just had a conversation, I think I reflected on it after I hung up the phone. I was like, oh, I just got off the phone with Kanye.
Were you surprised? I mean, obviously, you know, he's been meeting Trump in the Oval Office. Was it unusual to get a call from Kanye West?
I think it's unusual for anyone to get a call from Kanye West. But it, you know, for me, the thing that stuck out to me was his focus on Chicago, and there was an earnestness about wanting to come back. He was moving back, and what can he do to improve Chicago, the city that he's from? And that was what a lot of our conversation focused on.
Is he going to be here tonight, do you think?
Oh, I have no idea.
But there's a chance.
I have no idea. I'm not sure where he is.
In Chicago, at least, it looks like the new political Kanye is actually having an impact. And what's incredible is that not only does he have the ear of the right-wing president, but also of a rising left-wing politician. There was one other person here who knew Kanye very well, Chance the Rapper. Chance initially came out in support of Kanye when he first met with Trump, and had taken a lot of flack for doing so.
Hey Chance, how you doing, man? I'm making a documentary for the BBC about Kanye West, and I've been speaking to you.
No chance. Kanye isn't just infiltrating politics, he's also a businessman. He says his Yeezy trainer brand with Adidas is now valued at around $1 billion. They're pretty wide, aren't they?
So far, so good?
Look at those bad boys.
Yeah.
And this video he tweeted in October, a week before he met the president, suggests Chicago is about to get a slice of that.
So we're looking to put a Yeezy factory here on the south side. We're looking at this factory right now, this morning. So we just got in and we're just checking it out. I keep you guys updated.
So yeah, Kanye is a bit like Donald Trump when it comes to the economy. It's all about jobs, jobs, jobs. He believes that bringing jobs to America is so crucial to helping the country that he brought it up with the president in their meeting in October.
It's called the Yeezy effect. It's more important than any specific deal, anything that we bring jobs into America.
I've just had a look on the Adidas website, and amazingly enough, there's literally job listings for Yeezy in Chicago. There's a manager of the Maker Lab, senior manager of prototyping, footwear stitcher, and it seems like Kanye might actually be putting his money where his mouth is.
In the video Kanye tweeted, they revealed the address of the potential Yeezy factory.
Can you tell us where we're at, where we're located right now?
We're at 4131 South State Street.
So, I'm gonna go and give it a look for myself.
How you doing? Yeah, I mean, she's saying that they've signed a non-disclosure agreement, which means that it looks like something is probably going to happen. You know, she said to me, we haven't finished the deal yet, we're not sure if it's definitely happening, and discussions are still going on, so we definitely have the right place. It's the power of Kanye West. He's managed to convince Adidas to basically build a factory in Chicago purely for his sneakers.
As well as the political and business commitments to Chicago, a new Kanye emerged, art lecturer Kanye. It all came after this tweet in September, a month before meeting with the president. Amazingly though, at the time of tweeting, the Academy of Art had no idea of Kanye's plans. Duncan Webb is the academic dean here. He taught Kanye when he was a fine arts student, aged 18.
So you actually taught him here?
Yeah, taught him here at this location. You know, you would have had one of these lockers. So we would have had class right on this floor, right in one of these classrooms. I can still picture him walking these hallways. Again, a very distinctive sense of fashion, I think, for himself at that point. He would have been 18, fresh out of high school, and came here on a scholarship. Very serious about his artwork, very serious about what he wanted to do as an artist.
So you saw him a few months ago?
Yeah.
What, how, why, what happened?
Just sort of unusual. He'd reached out, he was interested on Twitter in teaching at the American Academy of Art, and we were really excited to hear that. A little shocked because we hadn't talked to him about it. At first, I didn't think it was really going to happen because it was all through email. I wasn't really sure, and it's kind of top secret. So, but I went, and it was really an amazing experience. We met for about an hour and 15 minutes, one-on-one. Him and Kim was there also, and talking about these things that he's really inspired by now, things like education, and really having an impact on Chicago and the black community in Chicago.
You still talk to him to this day, do you?
Only recently, and not...
Do you have his phone number?
I do.
Oh, interesting.
I do.
That's prized possession.
Just sent this picture through. I said you guys were good and shooting at the Academy.
It's mad that literally just says Kanye.
I know, isn't it? You want to see what's mad?
What the hell? Wow.
You know, let's build a school of the future and revitalize the city.
Despite Duncan's attempts to get Kanye's attention, I still hadn't heard back. It felt like my search was coming to an end.
How you doing? I'm Ben.
Seemingly no closer to getting to speak with the man himself, I decided to check back in with his closest friend, GLC.
Thank you, yeah, it's a cool place. What do you do in a barbershop? So, like, do we talk about the problems of the world?
In a barbershop?
Yeah.
I look at barbers as more so like therapists because they got to listen to everybody's life story and then they got to give them really good advice.
What would you and Kanye be talking about if you were getting your hair cut?
Oh, what we'd be talking about?
Imagine I'm Kanye West, just a slightly cooler
And I'm
version.
cutting your hair?
Yeah.
I'll probably be like, man, I ain't gonna put no color in it. I ain't putting no color in it.
And he's like, give me yellow, give me blonde.
He might say that, but I'll be like, I ain't putting no color in it. I ain't putting no color in it.
Do you talk to him about things he does a lot of the time? Like when he went with Trump and wore the MAGA hat for the first time?
We had a conversation about it, and I expressed to him the pain that's associated with that statement.
It's good to go in the White House, talk to the president, but why is there such a level of love and a lack of criticism?
All right, so if you go to somebody, you be like, you hungry, right? You ain't had no food to eat. And you go to their crib and you be like, man, let me get some of your dirty ass food, boy. You know, this dirty ass food in your dirty ass house. Let me get some of that. You're probably not gonna get the food. But if you go and say you hungry and you be like, oh man, it's the best kitchen I ever seen in my life. Even if you know, if you just laying it out there like that, they might give you a little extra on your plate because you made the person feel good.
Have you talked to Kanye about tactics?
Of course.
A lot of people have been concerned that he may have been kind of going through something.
The fact that he's undergone several ups and downs throughout his life, and he's never taken the time to just sit down and chill. He's always working or got his mind towards some goal that he has to accomplish. When after losing your mother, even though it was a long time ago, the thing is, if you don't take the time to reflect on it, to chill and to make peace with yourself, man, it could throw you off. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, just everything in the media or constantly living your life in the scope. You know what I'm saying? Every move you make, it's a camera possibly on you.
I mean, that must be crazy.
That's a lot.
Oh, look at that, David. That was the money shot.
In the comfort of the barber chair, I thought about how Kanye's story, for many, is typical of a black artist who's made it to the top. The expectation and pressure to represent an entire community is on a level his white counterparts probably don't have to endure. The fact is, Kanye shares a lot with the fans, the good days and the bad. And yet, despite the relentless pressure, he's still authentically Kanye. He says what he wants, despite the consequences. And maybe that's a positive thing, rather than a tragic one. Maybe that really is freedom.
Open up your heart. Let the Spirit guide you. Let your conscience be free. We free. We free, bro.